So this part of the video will look at my experience within school during primary mostly, and have a little bit of mention to secondary, but I'll be focusing on the topic of ATSI issues within schooling, and additionally looking at the hidden curriculum and how that may affect attitudes and thoughts of students. So starting with ATSI issues within social groups, social groups help form a social hierarchy amongst people, and with that, some groups will be on the top and some will be on the bottom. But in most cases, what the issue seems to be is that when we look at the bottom of these social hierarchies, it's a lot of the time, it's Aboriginal kind of groups and Torres Strait Island groups who find themselves at the bottom, and that can cause issues of bullying and to be looked down upon by other groups, and they tend to come across unfair treatment from those groups. In regards to hidden curriculum, just being in these social groups, students can have their, attitudes influenced, and when someone in that group says one thing, they might hear it, and then it kind of forms an opinion from that, and affects the attitude. And if that attitude from one person is to look down upon another group, they're just going to follow in line. Otherwise, they worry about being looked down upon, as that group is by the other members of their group.
During grade 5, I remember that the teachers that year had decided that we would perform their version of Jane Elliott's exercise, Blue Eyes, Brown Eyes. The exercise brings up issues such as racism, inequality, and bullying. When done correctly, the Blue Eyes, Brown Eyes exercise can be pretty potent for children in recognising the importance of their actions towards other peers or others who may be different for whatever reason, be it colour, race, gender, or any other indifference. This is particularly significant considering the troubles that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people may encounter in schools around Australia. So, placing children in ATSI's shoes via the exercise may assist in combating any unnecessary discrimination towards Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders in schools.
My sociocultural identity has definitely been shaped throughout my schooling years, through what I experienced, but also what I witnessed other people experiencing. My main struggle was probably my mental health, which started quite young when I experienced quite severe anxiety in primary school. And then I witnessed a lot of social exclusion happening due to a social hierarchy sort of throughout primary school and high school. And more in high school is when I learnt what the hidden curriculum was. And in my situation at my school, there was a lot of pressure to perform well, and that was coming from the teachers, but also coming from the other students who would constantly compare their scores, and there was, that pressure that was on to perform really well and to have a good reputation.
Hi, my name is Sarah. So when I was in year 8, a girl in my home group decided to rank everyone into a hierarchy, and it got to the point towards the end of the year where you were treated based on where you were in this hierarchy. If you were high up, it was, life was pretty good. Year 8 was a pretty good year. If you were lower down, it became pretty tough. So I was placed in the upper middle part of the hierarchy because I had friends who were cool. So therefore I was cool by association. What made the situation worse was when a teacher actually got involved and helped to reaffirm this hierarchy, and she helped to perpetuate the cycle of power and dominance displayed by the student.
My name's Jessie. My transition from primary school to high school was a little bit different than most. I had a couple of weeks off at the start of year 7 from the second day because I had a medical emergency. This meant that I missed out on that key point where you make a lot of friends and that sort of thing in high school. I kind of assumed in the transition that I wouldn't lose any of my friends because a lot of my friends were transitioning to the same school, but I was wrong in that. A lot of them became friends in the popular group and that sort of thing, which is a very exclusive group, and they didn't want to be friends with me anymore. So I just kind of had to make new friends and that sort of thing. And I also didn't really find that my teachers helped me catch up that much, and so for the first few terms of high school, I really struggled to catch up both academically and meeting teachers and making friends and that sort of thing. So that was pretty difficult for me.
The transition from primary school to secondary school is deemed to be the most difficult time in a student's educational career. Belonging to a primary school with under 100 children enrolled, it was a very intimate environment. The high school that I was attending had triple the amount of kids in my primary school just in the Year 7 cohort. With any transition and change forced upon you in such a short amount of time, there comes major anxiety. A study by Lucy and Ray in 2000 suggests the positive effects of anxiety and how it acts as a positive developmental process. I stand with this theory, and I suspect that this outlook benefited my transition greatly. Essentially, the transition from primary school to high school can be daunting for many. I truly believe that changing your outlook towards the change can only benefit your social and emotional processes and contribute to the formation of a successful social capital. From such a drastic change in environments, I was able to recognize my strengths and weaknesses in order to ultimately overcome the anxiety that comes with transition.
How did your school help your transition into high school?
I don't really feel like my school did help my transition into high school. I had a bit of a medical thing at the start of Year 7 and I missed like the first 2 or 3 weeks of school, which wasn't great in and of itself, but it also set me back and then I missed out on that like key point where you make friends with people and you kind of, I don't feel like my teachers, when I did get to school, actually helped me transition very well. They just kind of like kept rolling with it.
Did you have friends that helped you?
Not my friends from primary school, I just had to kind of make new friends and roll with that, yeah. What about you?
My primary school was pretty good. They worked alongside my high school, and then my high school teachers, like the careers counsellor, came to our school and introduced himself to us and then introduced our home group teachers' names, and then I got to see who was actually transitioning with me to that particular school. So that was good, knowing that there was other people. But yeah, they had open nights, and the open night was pretty helpful with like getting to know the school and the subjects as well.
Okay.
So like I felt like it was good, but there probably could have been more done to help me go smoothly. But I'm happy with it.
That's pretty good.
So how was your experience of power in your school, and who did it impact?
So in primary school, I specifically remember there was like the group of popular girls, and they used to bully this girl who was trying to hang out with them, but they never really included her. They would always make her carry all their water bottles and stuff when we would walk to school sports, and like make her stand like so far behind, like they were really nasty to her. And one day, like I just found her and I had a discussion with her. She was really upset, and I just sort of said like, why are you still trying with these girls? But she really felt like she knew how nasty they were, but she really wanted to be a part of their group. So I sort of just gave her the choice. I was like, just come with my friends, like we won't treat you as badly as them. And she ended up becoming like a really close friend. What about you?
So when I was in Year 8, we had a girl who decided that she would rank everyone into a hierarchy at school, or just in our home group. And there was one girl who was clearly put on the bottom. Like this girl and the other girl, they did not get along well. It was a long time coming. And it got to the point towards the end of the year where the situation got towards more like bullying. You know, the girl on top was like, oh, everyone curl your hair except for this girl, and that caused massive issues. It ended up with the other girl actually leaving the school just because she felt like she couldn't belong there anymore. The situation was actually made worse by a teacher. She got involved in the whole thing, and instead of, you know, shutting down this girl's hierarchy, she perpetuated it, saying, oh, you know, this girl's on top, yeah, this girl's on top, and this boy's on top, and you know, you all just do what they tell you to do.
A teacher did that.
A teacher did that, yeah. So it made the situation a lot worse than what it should have been.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how, like, primary school, high school, there's still that group
It doesn't
of
change.
girls that seem to, and it's usually the same ones. Like I went to a similar high school, and that girl, those girls from primary school were the ones that were that group in high school.
Same with this girl, she kept on top for the rest of the years. Like by the time we got to Year 12, everyone else was like, look, let's get along for the sake of getting along. You know, we've got a certain amount of time left. Except this girl, she just had to stand up.
Eli, Looking back now, do you think that there was a clear social hierarchy in primary school?
I'd say there definitely was one, and I think these groups kind of enforced it, just with the apex groups making sure they stayed on top, and the way in which they did that was kind of targeting the lower groups and making sure they felt bad about themselves so they'd stay on the bottom. And those groups tend to be, Torres Strait Islander to more foreign kind of groups, and it was just more discrimination and negative attitudes which resulted in bullying. So, with regards to your experience at school, how do you think the curriculum and what you did at school, learning about how to treat or act towards racism, make sure you weren't enforcing it or, keeping those negative attitudes in mind, how do you think the curriculum kind of comes together?
Well, we said in my personal video, we did an experiment in grade 5 called Blue Eyes, Brown Eyes, and we learned a lot about racism, exclusion, and discrimination, especially with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders. And I found personally that it helped open my eyes to what can be going on between the different races in Australia and even around the world. So that's kind of right.
See, I never experienced any of that in my primary school because it was so small. We didn't even cover racism or anything. Like, we just had to get along. There was like 10 of us in a class, and we just all had to. There was just no questions about it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So did that create issues for you, like lack of
No,
understanding?
actually, like, I was raised, like, I won't toot my own horn, but I was raised with pretty good morals and understanding. And like, it's not that our school wasn't multicultural or anything, like it was, but we never, I guess we were never exposed to bullying due to racism or anything. Like, no one even knew what it was, so it kind of protected us in a way. But yeah, I was just lucky, I guess, in high school it never continued either, so yeah.